Welcome and thanks for tuning into this week's Real Life Talks. I'm Jim Boyce, and today you're going to get to hear from a very special guest. Jim Scudder Jr. is going to be sitting down with an expert in Christian American history, Andrew Phipps, to answer your question, as so many people want to know, is America really a Christian nation? We would also love to have you subscribe, like, comment below. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Hope you enjoyed today's episode of Real Life Talks. Andrew Phipps, thank you for joining us here on Real Life Talks. And you are a speaker and you talk about these things as you talk about faith and freedom in this country and in this nation. And I know our heritage, I know our founding fathers were a lot of them believers, but for sure they were biblicists in some form or fashion. But how do you answer that question? Is America, or maybe we should say, was America a Christian nation?
Well, if you fast forward and get down to the colonial era and you see the Declaration of Independence and what we call organic law, you find out that in that document there that these 56 men attested to, the very principles that in the second paragraph that said that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that when any government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. Then in the final summation, they said, with a firm reliance upon the divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Recently, I was up in the New England states, up in around Connecticut, and I found out that when you go there to what we would call maybe the genesis of our religious heritage, we find out that men like the British preacher George Whitefield, that Benjamin Franklin, the printer, would print his sermons. And much of the thinking that was predicated upon the idea of a creator was inserted into that belief structure. Nowhere at that time in the world did people say that we had God-given rights. Benjamin Rush, one of the signers, Dr. Scudder, of the Declaration, said that men will either be governed by the Bible or they shall be ruled by the bayonet. John Adams said if men were angels, no government would be necessary. Thomas Jefferson said if a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. So as you trace our lineage,
Right.
It's been said that our faith is a treasured heritage, not a contemporary experiment. My good friend, the Vice President, Michael Pence, been with him on many, many occasions, and he's been in my home, and he says truth becomes hate to those who hate the truth. But the fact of the matter is that we have all kinds of evidence. For example, we have paid chaplains. We have on our coins, "In God We Trust." When George Washington took the oath as our first president, he added 4 words with, "So help me God." Ever since that practice has been continued. Harry Truman, when Franklin Roosevelt died suddenly on April the 12th of 1945, when he completed taking the oath, he kissed the Bible. Our 7th president, Andrew Jackson, said, "The Bible is the foundation upon which this republic rests." I don't know if many people know this or not, but Garfield actually held some revival meetings and baptized people.
Well, there's a volume of evidence that we have a solid
Christian, biblical, start in this country. And I have ancestors that were part of the Puritan migration from England. They came over maybe 30 years after the Mayflower, but still in that kind of general area, early colonists. And they came here for that freedom to worship. Now, as a Christian nation, we have afforded people that freedom.
Yes.
And so I will die and fight for someone's freedom to practice another faith or another religion. And that's the beauty of America is other people can come here and worship freely. We still can't ignore our foundations and that it's in the fabric of our country. I was in Washington, D.C. and in the Pentagon and all the public buildings. There are so many examples in the Pentagon of the soldiers praying before they go off to battle. So that's in our history. It should always be in our history. We can't just put our heads in the sand. Unfortunately, we are moving vastly away from that heritage. We are paying for it, and it's sad. And there's only one answer, and that's a return to God. And here's how you can return to God. You realize you're a sinner. Realize that there is hope. There is salvation available to you, but you have to do it God's way. You can't save yourself. You have to put your faith in Jesus. He is the Son of God. He died on a cross for you. He rose again the third day. And if you'll simply put your trust in Him, the Bible says very clearly you'll have everlasting life. And we really, really want that for you today. Thank you very much, Andrew, for your knowledge. And I tell you, I want to know more. These are short videos, so we have to end. But I tell you what, there's so much here, and I hope we can return to our foundation as a nation.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
And I hope you enjoyed Real Life Talks. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to put your questions and comments in the comments section. God bless you.